Hi there, everybody. This is David, and I don't know about y'all, but whenever I first heard that Octopath Traveler 0 was going to be like a console version of Champions of the Continent, I let out a groan so loud you could probably hear it across state lines. I was ready for the entire thing to just kind of like be a complete and utter dumpster fire and just crash and burn. But what I actually got instead was my favorite entry in the entire Octopath Traveler franchise. So, with that being said, I am totally looking forward to another Eden Begins because, Square did such a great job with Octopath. I think that they're just going to knock it out of the park with this one. And today, I want to tell you what this game is about and how it's going to change as it does come onto the consoles. And I definitely do think that's worth a sub as you come and you join my party and you level on up with me. Thank you so much for your sub, your like, and your brand new hype. It helps me out a ton. And now, let's get ready to idiotically chase our cats into a time warp. Yeah, I know that segue was kind of crappy, but hey, whatever. It is what it is. Okay, so, much like Champions of the Continent, whenever another Eden was originally announced, I really wanted to play it, but mobile, so I didn't. But later on, it was released on the PC a couple of years back, so I did dip into it there, so I can pretty confidently tell you what it's all about. But I do want to start with, hearing about the actual console game, Another Eden Begins, which is coming out for the Switch and Switch 2, as well as the PC, with no gacha garbage included. Thank God. I've got to say, the more that I learn about Another Eden Begins, the clearer it becomes that this is not a lazy port, or a quick upscale, or hey, we put a controller support on it, please clap situation. This is the real deal. This is a full-scale RPG release built to stand on its own, even if you've never touched the mobile version in your life, or you never played Chrono Trigger or Chrono Cross or anything else like that. So again, I'm going to be breaking down what Another Eden really is on mobile and what is changing in this console version. It started back its life as a mobile game back in 2017 over in Japan, and as a spiritual successor to the Chrono games in kind of the same way that Xenoblade is a spiritual successor to Xenogears and Xenosaga, and it is made by the same guy who made Chrono Trigger and Chrono Cross. And again, it was originally a gacha mobile game, but it played more like a classic SNES RPG. The story centers on Aldo, who's living, a relatively peaceful life with his little sister and their grandfather in a small village, but of course that peace doesn't last very long as the Beast King comes to attack and abducts his sister, and Aldo has to go out and rescue him, or her I suppose, and it then spirals into something a lot larger as it goes beyond time and space. You have time travels, multiple eras, alternate realities, the kind of stuff that, as a Chrono Trigger fan, I am immediately sitting up and paying attention to. The combat is random battles, and it is classic turn-based combat with 6 characters total. That's 4 active party members fighting in battle, and 2 in reserve. Every single character has its own skill tree, and that grows as you level up, and you can spend ability points to boost their stats or unlock new abilities. Their skills will use MP and magic and all that kind of stuff, and the challenge level is actually there. Like I said, it's kind of like an SNES RPG, but again, just on mobile. As you are fighting, you can take your characters in the front and you can put them in the back, and there they will recover their HP and their MP, so you kind of have to rotate them in and out and use all sorts of different characters. The only real downside of this, though, is if you're active, those first 4 party members, if they all wipe and they die, it's a game over, even if you still have people waiting and alive in reserve, and I've got to say, that there does kind of suck, but it is what it is. Another thing that kind of sucks is the visuals. I know. I do wish that they were giving this a complete graphical overhaul, because it looks like a Flash game. I'm sorry, it just does, Hopefully they do something more with it, because right now it's just kind of yikes. As far as exploration is concerned, it does use 2D side-scrolling environments, and the end result is pretty charming, but also really cheap looking, just because, I don't know, I don't like the graphics. It's very mobile-y graphics, I just hope that they change it into something else different. Maybe give it sprite animations, HD 2D, something. That being said, I did grow up on the NES and the Game Boy, so for the most part, graphics don't really bother me. All I really care about is gameplay and fun factor. That's what I talk about in my reviews and everything else, and I've got to say that is what Another Eden has in spades. And really interestingly enough, the mobile game didn't actually just stop at like one RPG length story that's between 20 to 40 something hours. It actually has like 40 frickin' expansions and add-ons that are also 20 to 40 something hours. So all told, you know, it's really frickin' long. Like if you wanted to play it now, you'd be there playing it forever. Like these are substantial story expansions. You know, some of them are more linear, some of them are more freeform, but the content is really, really well done. However, you know, again, it is a mobile game, and the mobile and the PC versions are great and they're generous, but they're still built around those mobile realities and limitations. That telephone game, it has gacha. It has limited voice acting. It has like one ending, and it doesn't even have controller support. So it's still like a game designed to like be as live service and eventually die off. But now, with Another Eden Begins, we're getting a full definitive experience. But I've got to say, it's not going to be redoing all those 40 different games. Instead, it's focusing on the base game, the first game, not all those different expansions. So if you did want to see what it's all about, you do have to play that mobile game, you do have to play that gacha version. But if you just kind of want to like see what the original story is, then that is what Another Eden Begins is going to be doing, as it is rebuilt into a complete standalone RPG. Recently, the producer did an interview with Famitsu magazine, and he said this is not a simple port. He said, the story is fully voiced. We've redesigned everything from scratch. The field exploration, the battles, the character development system. Developing the game as a brand new RPG title rather than a port of the mobile version. There's going to be 18 different companions that you can go ahead and grab into your party, excluding the protagonist, so that's 19 total, and they will all be joining you on your journey. You'll meet them in towns and dungeons, and as you help each other, you'll also be able to get to fight together. It says, we prepared thrilling stories for each of the characters, which is another highlight of the game. So that is key. It is a brand new RPG title. It is not just a port. In the same way that Octopath Traveler 0 took the bones of Champions of the Continent and they turned it into its own console game, they're doing the same thing here. But they've also removed the gacha entirely, and they've added full voice acting across the entire story. It also has, you know, full controller support because this is a console game. And instead of just like one ending, it actually includes a new game plus with 10 different like what if scenarios that branch out based on the decisions that you could have made during the story. So yeah, it has that one base game, but then there's also different other things that you can do in like the post game. So that means new paths, new interactions, new stories, and really different reasons to replay the game, even if you have played the original game on the telephone. He goes on to say that the estimated length for Another Eden Begins is around 20 to 40 hours, and this is the foundation and the opening arc. Now that's also kind of interesting too, because a lot of people out there who are fans of the original Another Eden are kind of postulating, and they're saying this could be the first part of a trilogy covering the game's major linear story arcs across multiple standalone releases. And if that happens, like, that is amazing. And also, if that happens, that's bringing more people into the Chrono universe, so maybe setting us up for a Chrono Trigger remake or a Chrono Trigger 2. So this is pretty freaking awesome. This is not just like a phone game, just ported on over to a console. It is a classic RPG, finally allowing to be standing on its own. So if you're like me and you skipped Another Eden because, mobile, then this is for you. Because, originally I skipped Champions of the Continent because mobile, but then Octopath Traveler 0 really surprised me. So I think that we're getting the same thing here, and it's going to be something spectacular. And if you're as excited for Another Eden Begins as I am, then please be sure to level on up with me and join our party by subscribing. And also drop a like, and if you want more deep dives like this, let me know in the comments. And also let me know if you've played the game before and what you feel about it, because I'd love to hear from you. And as always, have a good day.